Welcome to the kitchen! I've said before in other videos that I don't want this channel to only be Let's Plays or exclusively be video game related things. And I've had various ideas in the past about types of videos that I could do other than that. Some of those ideas included food-related videos, but that has nothing to do with what we're doing today. Throughout media, be it television or the internet or whatever, there are some fantastic food recipes. And there are also some really crappy ones. I have no script for this, obviously, and I don't know how to introduce this video. I literally just turned on the camera and started talking. If that wasn't obvious enough by this terrible intro. The point is, today I am going to be trying a few terrible ideas. Some don't sound too bad. I'm also not a particularly picky eater, so we're just gonna see how it goes. I have sort of 3, sort of 4 items on the menu for today. I didn't want to go too insane, and I want to bring that up with this first one, which we are going to be preparing a pizza. Specifically inspired by an old Cinemassacre video, we are going to be eating pizzas from the old Ninja Turtles cartoon. Now, there are some terrible pizzas that were covered in that Cinemassacre video. I am not going to be going too insane, not so much for the sake of avoiding eating really bad pizza, but as I just said, I really don't like wasting food, and that includes buying ingredients for some random thing like this, and then having no use for those ingredients afterwards. So I wanted to make sure that the pizzas I made incorporated ingredients that I could use, that I could see myself using after the fact, after this video is done. Like, some of them involved things like fudge or clams or sardines, and I don't really, and while those would probably make for more titillating content, I don't really have a use for those outside of the video. Now, whether or not I'm able to finish the food that we make in this video is another thing entirely. I just had to make sure that the items on the menu incorporated ingredients that I could see myself using afterwards, so I don't buy a jug of something like whipped cream. I don't buy a jug of whipped cream, use it for the one video, and then just have it rot in the refrigerator. So I have with me here a pepperoni pizza, just a basic, cheap pepperoni pizza, and I'm actually going to be making 2 pizzas from the compilation of Ninja Turtles pizzas, at least that were in that video I mentioned before. A marshmallow and pepperoni pizza, as well as a pickles and pepperoni pizza. Neither of those sounds too insane or too terrible, but we're just gonna see how it goes. Now, to not make too much food or waste too much food or money, I'm going to be preparing both of them on the same pizza. I'm gonna do about 1/4 of the pizza with marshmallows and about 1/4 of the pizza with pickles. That way, if either of those is too terrible and I just can't tolerate it, I'll at least have the rest of the half of the pizza to just eat. So let's get things prepared while the oven is preheating. I've got these jet puffed Stackers marshmallows for one part of the pizza. I don't normally eat marshmallows or buy marshmallows, but they're fine. These are the kind of thing I can just snack on. I got these ones because they're flat. I figure that will help with spreading it on the pizza. I am going to be putting the ingredients in the oven with the pizza, rather than putting them on after the fact. Hopefully that won't cause any problems, but I feel like all the ingredients on a pizza should be cooked. So we need to get the proper experience. And for the pickles, I have these pickle chips. So we're going to be getting some use out of these, not only with this, recipe, but with another one coming up later in the video. So stay tuned for that if you want to see more pickles. Let's get this pizza out of the box. And there we have it. Complete with plastic. We're not having a plastic pizza. Not even the turtles are that crazy. They may have come up with some crazy pizza ideas, but at least they generally only put edible stuff on the pizzas. Just not things that belong on pizzas, like marshmallows. Marshmallows don't belong on pizzas. Pickles don't sound so bad, but marshmallows do not belong on pizzas. Alright, so on one about quarter-ish of the pizza, we are going to put some marshmallows. And on the opposite quarter, some pickles. I feel like it would be better if the pickles were not on top of the pepperonis, but what are you gonna do? And that is our pizza. One part with pickles, one part with marshmallows, the other parts to be normal, just in case these are both terrible, so I can still have a pizza to eat. Let's get this into the oven and see how things turn out. The main thing I'm wondering is whether or not these things sitting on top of the pizza will affect how the pizza cooks at all. Especially the marshmallows, because they're just kind of smothering it. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the cooking. We've got about 5-ish minutes left, and a very strong odor is filling the room. A very burnt smell. I think it's the marshmallows. I don't think marshmallows are supposed to be cooked at 400 degrees for this long. Or this is what burnt marshmallows are supposed to smell like. I haven't had any form of marshmallows in a really long time, let alone cooking them in any way. I did take a quick peek though, and they don't look completely horrible. They look like they're holding up decently enough. They've kind of grown and fused together into a blob. So we're just gonna wait out the last few minutes and see how it works out. The most important thing is that it's not catching on fire. So long as that's not happening, we're good. I just wonder if the cheese and the pepperonis on that part of the pizza are cooking properly, because they're just completely smothered underneath those marshmallows. Or maybe the melted marshmallows is helping it cook. I have no idea. Probably not. Alright, the pizza should be done now, according to the instructions on the box anyway. Again, I have no idea if those added ingredients changed anything. The entire kitchen smells like burnt sugar with a hint of pickle behind it. I don't smell the actual pizza at all. All I smell is the marshmallows and the pickles. More marshmallow than pickle, though. The marshmallow scent is definitely much stronger, which isn't a surprise. Marshmallows are weird with how they smell. I mean, you can grab a bag of marshmallows and smell them through the bag while the bag is still sealed. Yet then when you open them, the scent really isn't that much stronger. It's just ever present. Like it's an aura around whatever the marshmallows are occupying. The scent aura will permeate everything and enter the immediate air. So let's grab our pizza. Oh my god. The marshmallows have become a bit more burnt since I last checked, and they are starting to melt over the side of the pizza. I considered that as a possibility that could happen while putting them on there, but it was a risk I had to take. So here is our weird-ass pizza with some normal parts and some weird parts. Now I'm just gonna give it a few minutes to cool, and then we'll try it. Okay, so the marshmallows definitely look less appetizing now that they've cooled. They've lost a lot of their volume. Also, some snuck onto that piece. The pickles slice came out fine, though. So here is our weird-ass pizza. Pepperoni and pickles, pepperoni and marshmallows. Let's go try them. I am definitely curious. That smell, though, is just, it's non-stop. All I smell is marshmallow. Oh, I got marshmallow on my finger. Okay, so I'm going to start with the scarier one. The marshmallow consists... no, it tastes weird. It tastes almost chocolatey. I guess that's just how roasted marshmallows taste. I haven't had roasted marshmallow in so long. It looks so weird. The sauce and marshmallows have congealed together into this weird, soupy, almost like glossy slop. It looks very strange. I don't know how it's looking on the camera, but that just looks really weird. My fingers are getting all sticky. But the real question is, how did it taste? It tastes like marshmallow.
I'm Captain Obvious.
I taste a little bit of the sauce, but I don't think I really taste the crust, the cheese, or the pepperoni at all. It's not bad. I mean, if you like pizza, if you like marshmallows, it's just really weird. It's like a sweet and savory sort of combination. I'm not very good at describing food. But they don't really clash. But they also don't really mix. It's two flavors that really taste like they shouldn't go together. They don't belong together. But they also don't conflict with each other in a way that's offensive. And I mostly just taste marshmallow. I feel the pizza. I don't feel the marshmallow at all. It feels like I'm eating pizza, but it tastes like I'm eating just a marshmallow, just a roast marshmallow. Especially because some of the roast marshmallow gets stuck on the back of my teeth. So even when I take a bite that doesn't have any marshmallow on it, I still just taste the marshmallow. I wonder if that would be different if I bought a more flavorful pizza. Tony's is not the best. It's not the worst pizza I've ever had, but it's also not the best. It's usually what I go for just because of the price. And it's good enough for that. Yeah, it's just kind of bizarre. Because I feel like I should be tasting pizza, but I'm not tasting pizza. I'll grab a drink real quick. Gotta cleanse my palate before trying the next slice. I can definitely finish that though. I'm glad that I didn't cover the whole pizza. I was gonna do half and half at first. Half mushroom, half pickle. But then I thought, what if it tastes terrible and then I can't finish? But I can finish that. It's not really good, but it's not terrible. It's good enough to finish and whatnot. But now we have pepperoni and pickle. This makes a lot more sense. It looks a lot more like a normal pizza. It doesn't have any of that congealing from the melted mushrooms mixing with the cheese and the sauce. It just looks normal. And it tastes exactly like what you would expect. Again, I feel like the pickle's a little overpowering, and again, that could just be because of my choice of pizza. If you had a more flavorful pizza, had a quality pizza, or like maybe if you had a deep dish pizza, then the added ingredients wouldn't be so overpowering. The pickles are a little dry, obviously, but aside from that, it's exactly what you would expect. If you've eaten pizza before and you've eaten pickles before, it's what you would expect.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
I finished those two pieces and they were fine, but the more I ate the marshmallows, the worse they became. The pickle slice just stayed just as appealing, or lack thereof, as it went, but the marshmallows, every single bite, it still didn't taste bad, but every single bite, it gradually got worse and worse. I'm definitely frowning on the fact that one of my plain slices got a couple marshmallows snuck up on it. I'm definitely frowning at that a little bit more than I was before I went to sit down and eat. It's not as good as I thought it was. Still not bad, but definitely one of those things that it wore out its welcome very quickly. Just a few more bites and I was just like, okay, I'm kind of getting sick of this, but I still have half a slice left to eat. So I just kind of had to force myself through it. I actually started taking alternating bites between the pickle and the marshmallow slices just to help stave off the tedium of the flavor. Also, as I was eating, I was realizing the marshmallows aren't as gooey as I hoped they were. Or it's not that they're gooey, it's just the gooiness isn't what I was expecting. I was expecting more of a fluffy gooey instead of just a flat slop gooey. But maybe that's maybe that's because I went with the flat marshmallows, or maybe because they're overcooked. I don't know how long you're supposed to cook marshmallows or at what temperature. That was at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. And judging from how burnt they taste and look, maybe I overdid it a bit. And again, all I taste is marshmallow. That bite was about 20% marshmallow and the rest was actual pizza. Still only taste the marshmallow. It's just so overpowering. If you like cooked marshmallow and you want something to make it into more of a meal, then there you go. There's your solution. Because you just won't have to worry about the taste of the pizza. It's been a few days since we had the pizza. I intended to do all this stuff more one recipe a day, but some stuff came up that prevented that from happening. But we're back now. It's been a few days, but we're getting back into it. And we're moving on to the next dish, which will be a little more wacky. The pizza was weird, and I feel like I can still taste the marshmallow in the back of my mind. I definitely wouldn't want to put marshmallows on pizza again. The pickles, maybe. I could maybe see myself, not so many, but I could maybe see myself throwing just a couple pickles on a pizza, especially if I have pickles to use up. Now that we've got the relatively sane appetizer out of the way, we're moving on to the insane, the stuff that people probably shouldn't be eating. Starting with a dish taken from the movie UHF, we are going to be trying the
Twinkie Wiener Sandwich.
It's a rather simple dish. All you need is a hot dog, some easy cheese, a Twinkie, and milk. Which already sounds like a disaster just saying it. But on the plus side, I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised by easy cheese. I haven't had this stuff since I was a kid. It's probably been like 30 years at this point since I've had this stuff. I don't even remember if I ever had it as a teenager. And while it's not great, it's nostalgically pleasant. I feel like as you get older, your tastes become more sophisticated, and sometimes you dislike things that you liked back in the day, or you end up liking things that you didn't. But easy cheese tastes exactly like I remember. I've been having some of it with some Ritz crackers, and it tastes exactly the same as it did all those years ago. I mean, what more can I say about it? I feel like I should elaborate on that further, but what more can you say? It tastes like squishy cheese. For this dish in particular, I'm going to be taking a bit of a different approach with it. With the pizza and the next dish on the menu, I'm just going to be eating them outright. But with this, I want to analyze each phase of it, so that way I can kind of see what each ingredient adds, and perhaps decide if it's better at certain stages than others. Like, maybe the milk is too much, especially because I'm not really a fan of dipping things in general. Even when I was a kid, there were some things I liked dipping. I liked dipping Nilla wafers and Oreo cookies into milk, but even then I was a little off-put by it because of how mushy they would become, especially the Nilla wafers, and especially if pieces broke off into the milk, and then you had to drink the milk when you were done with the cookies. That was never a pleasant experience, and I wasn't just gonna dump it out. So I want to do this in phases, so I can observe each phase, and then I can discuss to the best of my ability how it tastes, how the ingredients go together, and then analyze what each additional ingredient adds to the mixture, or the experience, or whatever you want to call a disaster of culinary arts. So first we're going to do just the hot dog and just the Twinkie. I'm going to take one bite of that, then I'm going to add the easy cheese, take a bite of that, then I'm going to dip it in the milk, and pray to God. But before that, we've got to cook our hot dog, which I meant to have the water boiling before I even started recording, so it could be cooking while I was doing the introduction, which I forgot to do. So we're gonna have to wait a few minutes. Well, I'm gonna have to wait a few minutes. You're just gonna have to wait for the screen to transition. One thing I can say though while waiting for that to happen is, of all the elements being added to the hot dog, the easy cheese is definitely the least scary. The Twinkie is definitely gonna be weird. I don't know how well sweet and savory are going to mix in this context. And the milk, like I said, I'm not a fan of dipping things, so that's the least exciting. But the easy cheese in particular, I don't think will be that bad. I was even thinking about just trying easy cheese on a normal hot dog as well. When I was in high school, I had a friend who regularly had cheese-filled hot dogs in his house, and we ate those all the time, and I remember really liking those. And I imagine putting easy cheese on a hot dog will be very similar to that. And that is just hot dog with cheese. And I would imagine the cheese that's in those hot dogs is somewhat similar to easy cheese. I feel like the only real significant difference is that the cheese flavor will be much more dominating. Whereas with the cheese-filled hot dogs, the two flavors were a bit more harmonious. So while the hot dog is boiling, let's prepare our Twinkie. We need to just cut it into a hot dog bun. Which way should I cut it? Which way would be best? I feel like this way feels more natural for holding it. So let's just cut the Twinkie. It would be much safer to do this without holding it. Oh, look at that. Isn't that what you want on your hot dog? Okay, the hot dog is ready, and I am actually going to dry it off. That's hot. I'm going to cool that off in the sink. And then I'm going to dry this off because there's going to be time between each bite as I analyze things, and I don't want the Twinkie getting saturated in hot dog juices. So I want the hot dog to be relatively dry. Okay, the hot dog is sufficiently dry. We've got our hot dog and our Twinkie bun. So let's put the hot dog in the Twinkie and take the first bite and see what happens. Oh, that's already terrible. So these flavors do not go together at all. The cream of the Twinkie is very dominating, and you taste the hot dog behind that. So it's just, I wish I was more versed in culinary lingo so that I could accurately describe what that tastes like. But yeah, that was that. I wouldn't say vile, but it was not good. I'm not looking forward to further bites. I already don't want more. I'd rather just eat the hot dog and the Twinkie pieces separately. Maybe the cheese will save it. Maybe the cheese will help bring balance to this. It tastes like what you would expect. It tastes like Twinkie cream with a hot dog in it. Like you took chopped up hot dogs and plopped them into a bowl of Twinkie cream and then ate that with a spoon. I don't really even taste the cake, I don't think. I don't think I really tasted the cake much at all. I think the hot dog flavor was stronger than the cake, so I didn't really taste that. It was just the cream and the hot dog. And some bites were fine. Like, I was chewing it. At first it tasted bad. I was like, oh, this is bad. As I kept chewing it, the hot dog flavor kind of disappeared and became buried under the flavor of the cream. And I was like, oh no, you know what? This isn't terrible. It's not good, but the hot dog flavor is being kind of masked, so it's not awful. It's just kind of like a Twinkie with a bit more substance. And then the hot dog flavor came back. It found its way back to the surface. And then it tasted bad again. It was very strange. So now we have to add the easy cheese. Save us cheese. So we're now adding this to the Twinkie. Come on, Twinkie, hold together. There we go. All right, I got kind of back together. Let's see if the cheese fixes it. No. No, it doesn't. Well, no, I don't think it does. It doesn't. That bite doesn't taste as bad, but I think it's just because I got used to it from the first bite. So, the cheese adds nothing. The part that I hoped would be the best, I didn't even taste it. Maybe I need to add more cheese. that added nothing to it. It tasted a little bit better because I was acclimated to it from the first bite. But the cheese added nothing, and that's kind of why I wanted to do it piece by piece, so I could see what each ingredient adds to kind of figure out why that ingredient exists, and it added nothing. Maybe the cheese did make it better. Maybe the cheese is why the second bite tasted better, but I couldn't distinctly taste cheese. If the cheese did anything, it helped the flavors of the hot dog and the cream merge together a little bit more harmoniously without being able to actually taste the cheese at all. Almost like maybe it muted the sweetness a little bit so that it wasn't so jarring when mixed with the savory of the hot dog. But now we've got the nightmare. The worst thing, maybe, or maybe the best thing, maybe this is what I'll save it. We've got some milk in this custard cup. I didn't want to use too much because I'm probably not going to be drinking it afterwards. So let's see, does dipping this, doesn't that look lovely? Does dipping this in milk help anything? Yeah, I'm actually surprised that the hot dog and the Twinkie fit so well together as far as their size goes. Honestly, when I was looking at the Twinkie, I'm thinking there's going to be excess hot dogs sticking out both ends of this thing. But then after I cooked the hot dog and actually put them together, it fit almost perfectly. I was surprised at how well they fit together. Alright, here we go. The ultimate form of the Twinkie Wiener Sandwich. We defeated its earlier forms and now it's powering up to 100%. And we must conquer it. Ow. No! No! The milk did not fix it. It made it into one of the most vile things I've ever put in my mouth. Instantly. Holy shit, I was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting it to be good, but I was not expecting the milk to affect it that drastically. I can't even describe what it was because it was only in my mouth for about 2 seconds. I couldn't even chew it. My reflexes refused to allow me to chew it. It entered my mouth, and then every fiber of my being just screamed, spit this out immediately. And since I am a man who trusts his instincts when it comes to food, I just reflexively did it. And I'm not going to do it again, and I'm not going to try again to actually chew it. I almost wonder if doing the dish one step at a time made it worse because of my expectations. The very first bite, I was on guard. I was like, okay, how bad is this going to be? And it wasn't terrible. It wasn't good. I would never eat a hot dog on a Twinkie again, but it wasn't terrible. It just wasn't good. And then the second bite was a little better. And again, I can't say if that was because of the cheese or if it was because I was just acclimated to it after the first bite because I couldn't taste the cheese at all. So I don't know what the cheese was doing. So I think because of that, my guard was down. I was thinking, it's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be good. And I expected the milk to be the worst phase unless something changed, unless there was something that the milk added. Kind of like the cheese. The cheese felt like it added something. I couldn't put my tongue on it, especially because I couldn't distinctly taste the cheese, but it felt like the cheese added something to bind the flavors of the hot dog and the Twinkie in a way that made it more palatable. So I kind of went into the milk thinking, maybe that will do the same thing. Maybe when all four come together, that's kind of the pinnacle of it when it's at its best. So I was almost expecting it to be kind of the same, maybe a little mushy, but kind of the same. But other than that, maybe better, even though I wasn't interested in the idea of the dipping. Maybe like with the cheese, the milk would somehow inexplicably make it better. Still not good. I still didn't think it would be good, but I didn't expect it to be that much worse. And because of that, I think I reacted much more aggressively to it than I might have if I just did it straight. Because it subverted my expectations, you could say. But that was the Twinkie Wiener Sandwich. It was a thing. And next, we're going to be moving on to the dish that inspired the existence of this video in the first place. It's not the most disgusting idea, but it's perhaps the craziest, and we will be getting to that next. I just thought it would be appropriate to save the inspiration for the video for last, after I clean the sink. Okay, once again, it's been a while. It's been a couple weeks since the incident of the Twinkie Wiener sandwich. I wanted to do this sooner, but things came up or there were problems that interrupted with being able to do things. But we're back and moving on to the third and final dish of this video. Before that, though, while the water is getting to a boil, I feel like I didn't really discuss the Twinkie Wiener sandwich in much detail. Not that I know how to really describe it in detail because it was just bad. I've been thinking about this since I ate it, or tried it rather, and I didn't really get much chance to even taste it. The moment I bit into it, the Twinkie cake just dissolved and exploded in my mouth in a sea of mushy cake, cream, and milk. I didn't even make it really to the hot dog. Like, I bit through it, but my taste buds didn't even get a chance to reach the hot dog because I just had that explosion of goop in my mouth the moment my tongue and my palate compressed upon it. And it just exploded, basically, in just a vile mess. Hopefully, though, this will be a bit better because it's stuff that isn't absolutely horrible. And also, like I said during the previous segment, I don't really like dipping stuff. I feel like if you like dipping stuff, then the final stage of the Twinkie Wiener sandwich would have been a little bit more tolerable. I'm not saying it would have tasted good, but I feel like somebody who likes dipping stuff and doesn't mind the mushiness that comes with it, or is at least accustomed to that, would be able to keep it in their mouth longer, wouldn't be immediately repulsed by the texture, because that got me a lot more than the taste. It was the texture that caused my reaction. The taste, I didn't really even get to taste it, because I immediately reacted to the texture. But enough about that. I just felt like, since doing that recording, I felt like I didn't really elaborate enough on that. So I just wanted to cover that again while the water's boiling, because today we're going to be making pasta. Specifically, we're going to be making a pasta dish that was prepared as a gag in a particular Cat Icarus video.
Let's get the pot, put in the pasta, and an orange, chocolate syrup, and a pickle.
Here's the thing, though. In the video, Catty didn't really prepare the dish at all. He just threw stuff into a pot and ate it. I want to take it a step further and actually try to properly prepare the dish using the ingredients from that video. Now, when I say that, I mean all of the ingredients. Some liberties as far as the nature of the ingredients. I may not be using the exact same brand of the ingredients, and also I'm not just going to be using a whole pickle and chopping it up. I'm going to be bringing back the chocolate chips or the pickle chips from the pizza video. He just stuffed a whole orange in the dish. That means that both the orange pieces and the peel have to be incorporated into the dish, since they are both canonically part of it. To prepare the dish, I'm going to be taking the spaghetti, the pickles, and the orange peels and boiling them in some water. And I'm going to boil the orange itself because it'll just dehydrate, I feel like. I feel like that won't really work. So I'm going to add the orange slice, the orange wedges, and the chocolate syrup after everything else is cooked. I want to cook the pickles, though. I want to cook the pickles to see how it might affect the flavor of the spaghetti as it gets in the water. I also want to cook the peel because orange peels don't taste very good. I've eaten them before, so it doesn't bother me too much. But they don't taste good. So I'm going to peel some of this orange, get some spaghetti, and add that stuff to the pot, which seems ready. Alright, so I've got everything I need. We've got our boiling water. I'm not gonna make too large of a portion of this. Just a little bit. Just to try it. Enough to be like something I can eat. But I don't want to go overboard. So first let's just add some spaghetti to the water. And now quickly we'll toss in our orange peels. And now the few pickle chips. I'm curious about the vinegar aspect of the pickles, honestly. I've used vinegar with spaghetti before. I've tossed apple cider vinegar into the water before when making spaghetti. And that was interesting. It gave the noodles a bit of a kick. Stir that up, and we'll be back when this is ready. In the meantime, I'm going to get the orange ready. Peel the rest of the orange and eat some of it. Because I'm not going to put every wedge into this. Oh, that smells weird. I'm not sure if I smell the pickle or the orange more. The two scents are kind of mixing together in the steam. I don't know which is more prominent. It feels like the orange is more prominent, but that could just be because I have a peeled orange sitting here. The weird thing is, the thing that weirds me out most about this is the chocolate sauce. Or the chocolate syrup. I'm just not really a chocolate syrup guy. I don't really care that much for chocolate in general. I don't hate chocolate or really dislike chocolate. I like things like candy bars and stuff, but I don't like just plain chocolate. I need the chocolate to be complementing something, which you would think would make sense with chocolate syrup, but I don't know, it just doesn't really do anything for me. Maybe I just have bad memories as a kid of using it to make chocolate milk, and then you get that slop at the bottom of your cup when you get to the end of just all the syrup that just piled up and built up at the bottom of the cup when you were mixing it. But yeah, chocolate syrup just doesn't really do it for me. I don't hate it, it doesn't excite me. And that's the thing that I think is going to be the most weird about this. Either that or the orange peels. Actually, I think I'm more concerned about the oranges than the orange peels, especially because they're so big. It'll force a large bite. I'm most curious about the orange peels, actually. I'm curious what this boiling process will do to the flavor of the orange peels. Will it make it better? Will it make it worse? I don't know. I don't know anything about cooking orange peels. Okay, so that is done. It smells questionable. Again, I don't know if I smell the orange or the pickle more. But the water does look kind of orangish, so that's a good sign. Okay, so before I try the mixture, I just want to try one of these noodles. I'm curious if that stuff did anything to it. Not really, no, I don't think so. Yeah, I think it just tastes like a normal noodle. Unless the orange pieces I ate while preparing everything are overpowering any subtle changes. But now we've got this to try. Let's mix things up a bit. We need the other ingredients though. We can't forget to eat everything. I am curious though about the orange peel. It's kind of warm. Tastes about the same. Just that really aggressive bitterness of an orange peel, but now it's mushy. Which, is that better? Is that worse? I have no idea. These ingredients don't mix well together. But we need to add the other stuff. I've got 4 orange, just plump. Those on there like meatballs. And then the chocolate syrup. I almost feel like I would rather just eat this dry than have put any kind of sauce on it. I don't know what kind of sauce would go good with oranges and pickles, so let's just get some of that on there. I don't know if that's enough, but there is our lunch. Doesn't that just look like the best thing ever? It actually doesn't look terrible. I just am not a fan of the chocolate syrup. Let's see, can I even stir this? Oh, that chocolate syrup. All I smell is the chocolate. It doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look terrible. Let's just try to get some of the chocolate actually spread. The chocolate that got on the oranges are just all over everything. So let's just get some noodle. Let's get a pickle. Let's get an orange peel. And let's... Oh, the orange. The orange is the worst part because it forces me to just take a huge mouthful. Okay, let's try just everything at once. Oh. Oh, no! Ah! Well, that was an unpleasant surprise. It wasn't bad at first. The weird thing is the pickle and the spaghetti added nothing. I want to try just the spaghetti and just a pickle because I didn't taste either of those at all for a second of that bite. All I taste is the chocolate syrup. There may be a hint of noodle and a hint of pickle behind that, but all I tasted was the chocolate syrup in that second bite. But I was curious because in the first bite, all I tasted was orange and chocolate until the very end. I'm just going to remove these orange peels. I think wait, no, I need just orange peel and pickle and orange peel. That first bite, though, all I tasted was a battle between orange and chocolate. And that's how it goes. If I take an orange piece, those two flavors are so overwhelming that they're just battling it out. I can feel the noodles. The noodles add nothing to the flavor. The noodles are purely the texture of the meal. I feel the texture of the noodles, but all I'm tasting is the orange and the chocolate until the end. Once the flavor of the chocolate syrup and the orange kind of died down, once those were deteriorated or whatever, all I tasted was the orange peel. The orange peel flavor just rose up from the depths as if it was hiding in wait to ambush me once the flavors of the chocolate syrup and the orange began to wane. And once that happened, all I tasted was the orange peel, but it felt empowered. It felt worse than normal because it was conflicting with all these other flavors and textures. It was like a mouthful of orange peel instead of just a tiny bite because it became almost empowered by everything else that was going on. Yeah. See? Oh. Yep. Yeah, the orange peels are the worst part. The thing is, if I can take a few bites of an orange peel and be fine because I can just chew it and swallow it quickly. But when I have all these noodles in my mouth, I'm sitting there trying to chew everything else, and the whole time I'm tasting that orange peel, and the chocolate does nothing to mask it. The chocolate is completely overpowered by the orange peel. The only flavors that come out over the chocolate are the orange and the orange peel. Again, nothing else matters. The noodles, the pickles do nothing. I'm confident that this would taste exactly the same if I just removed the pickles. They don't seem to add anything that I can tell. It's all just the flavor of the orange and the chocolate battling it out for supremacy with the texture of noodles. Actually, I did taste a little pickle on that one. I'm going to remove the orange peels. I don't want to eat more of those. I already had several bits of orange peel before even starting while peeling the orange. And the orange peels are just abysmal. Those should not be in this. But yeah, if you like the idea of oranges dipped in chocolate, then this is not the worst thing in the world. It's just a matter of whether you think that's a good combination. With the texture of noodles, then go for it. I wouldn't go for it again. It's not bad, but I would never eat this again because I just feel like it's a waste of good noodles. A waste of a good orange, a waste of a good pickle. It's not bad, but I can just think of so much better things to do with all of these ingredients. So there you have it. There was our third dish. Now, if I had to rank these, obviously the Twinkie Wiener Sandwich goes at the bottom. That was just terrible. Even before the milk, it would be the worst on this list. I'm pretty sure. It just didn't taste good. Even in the second phase was the best. The first phase wasn't terrible because mostly all I tasted was the Twinkie, but every single bite where the hot dog flavor did come through, it was bad. The hot dog flavor did not go well at all, particularly with the Twinkie cream. The Twinkie cake wasn't a problem. It was when you could taste both the hot dog and the cream at the same time that it was bad. But any other time, I was just kind of indifferent about it. Then you add the cheese, and that made it a little better, but I'm not entirely sure why, because I did not taste the easy cheese at all, like I said. But something about it brought balance to the flavor, and that made it better. At least less bad. Then dipping the milk just made it an abomination. I've never actually seen the movie UHF, but I was introduced to the Twinkie Wiener Sandwich by an episode of Brutal Foods on YouTube. And having tried it myself, I 100% agree with how Ian described what it tastes like.
It's a nightmare. It tastes exactly as it looks. It tastes like this.
That was a spot-on description and the best way you could possibly describe what the Twinkie Wiener tastes like. At number 3, I would have to put the marshmallow pepperoni pizza. That could have been better though. I think if I put the mushrooms in, why do I keep saying mushrooms? I think because I never eat marshmallows, so my brain keeps going to mushrooms instead of marshmallows. I feel like if I put the marshmallows in later, like halfway through cooking, so they were melted but not burnt, it could have tasted better. But all I tasted was the burnt marshmallows with a little bit of the pizza toppings, mostly the crust, in there. Also, maybe if I had a more flavorful pizza, if the flavors of the pizza were higher quality and stronger to mix more with the marshmallows, that also might have been better. But I still think it would be third. Now, the second two were actually kind of good. Not great, but not bad. But I think I would have to give the winner to the pickle pizza because I could actually see myself doing that again. Particularly if I just have a boring pepperoni pizza. I happen to have some pickles in the fridge I'm not using, which I do. I need to use these pickle chips before they go bad. So I could see myself pulling out a few pickle chips, tossing those on the pizza just to add a little bit more to the pizza. Not just a little bit more flavor, but a little more substance, a little more variety, so there's more ingredients on it than just pepperoni. So I think that would have to be the winner. This one that I just did, the spaghetti chocolate thing, whatever you want to call that. That, again, it wasn't bad, but I would never want to eat it again. I feel like that's the deciding factor. As far as goodness levels go, I feel like both of those dishes were very similar. They were not good, but they were not bad. I wasn't repulsed by them, except for the surprise attack from the orange peel. That caught me off guard on that first bite because I was kind of enjoying it. I was enjoying the dance between the chocolate and the orange, but then that orange peel just punched me in the face and would not go away. Once that orange peel flavor set in, it stuck until I was done chewing, and that took some doing. Just having that orange peel flavor lingering in my mouth the entire time. But if I took out the orange peel, it would be better, but I still wouldn't want to eat it again. That's something I just wouldn't want to do again. The pickle pizza is something I would maybe do again. No guarantees, but I would maybe consider if I just happen to have the ingredients available and circumstances line up to make it a reasonable decision. So there you have it. There was 3 questionable dishes. sort of 4 because there were 2 types of pizza made into one. But that I just did because I felt like the pizza ideas weren't interesting enough. I felt like just putting marshmallows on a pepperoni pizza or putting pickles on a pepperoni pizza, that wasn't interesting enough. I felt like that needed something a little more. And again, I didn't want to go to the more outrageous pizza recipes from the old Ninja Turtles cartoon because I needed it to be stuff that I would actually eat outside of the video so that not everything just goes to waste. So there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to do all the YouTube things, and I'll see you next time.